Good evening to you out there. It is another Wednesday night, and you know it is NewsExtra night. The night you get the news from the NTA with an extra touch. Tonight we have, as usual, a package you don't want to miss. We begin from the seat of government as Wednesday Federal Executive Council takes decisions to move the country forward. Of course, the National Assembly is agog now as the race to beat its December budget approval date is on. We would tell you all about it. We just celebrated the day of the girl child. One of them was minister for a day. We will share her priorities with you. Flooding has been on the front burning for a while now. Well, it is not over yet. We have stories of relief and more devastations. And now this and much more is on the menu tonight. But let me pause here and let you discover the rest of what we have in the course of the bulletin. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Umar Buba, and this is NewsExtra. You're welcome. A new national policy on virtual engagements in federal public institutions in the country has been approved by the federal government. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, announced this while briefing journalists after the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details on this and other resolutions from the high-level engagement.
President Muhammadu Buhari presided over the meeting held virtually for the 19th time in the new normal. The memo on the virtual engagement policy was jointly sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy as well as Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation.
Virtual engagements are becoming the new normal. It is because of this that we came up with a memo that will institutionalize virtual engagements in federal public institutions in order to make sure that even after COVID, virtual engagement is recognized by the federal government of Nigeria as a way of communication or a medium of communication.
Already, the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, has been directed to come up with regulatory instruments that will set minimum standards and guidelines for such virtual engagements. NIDA is also to determine the categories of both the hard and software requirements as well as cyber security.
It saves costs, it saves time, and it also helps in improving transparency and fighting corruption.
We presented a memo for the supply, deployment, installation, testing, and commissioning of security equipment for the 7 railway stations, Idu, Rigasa, Jere, Kubwa, Kaduna, and Kano.
The Federal Executive Council also approved $2 million as Nigeria's contribution to the 2020 budget of the West African Power Pool, a specialized agency of the Economic Community of West African States.
West African Power Pool is for the generation of electricity throughout the region, so as to have robust, constant, and steady power supply. It's just like a national grid we have here in Nigeria. Now we're going to have a regional grid.
This was created in 1999 by the authorities of the West African heads of state. And each member state contributes annually to the cost of power transmission across the pool.
The Federal Ministry of Works and Housing also secured approval to award contract for the reconstruction of the Apapa or Oroshokin or Jota Expressway, Section 2 and 8.1-kilometer Beachland Interchange at 22.2 billion naira.
In 2018, the federal government approved an award of contract to Dangote Industries for the sum of 72 billion naira. But at the time the award was made, there was this section that was in fairly good condition. It now makes better sense to include that section which was fairly good so that when the other section is still, strong. It doesn't start withering. This is one of the projects that's been awarded under the Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme.
Contract for the dualization of the Kano-Maiduguri Road Section 1 has also been approved at 8 billion naira to bring the total contract sum of the 560-kilometer project at 63 billion naira. The Bureau of Public Procurement's memo on e-government procurement also scaled through.
E-government procurement has the potential of improving procurement process, eliminate corruption, and reduce the lead time in the procurement process. It also removes subjectivity from the process when it is eventually launched.
Quoting records obtained from the World Bank, the BPP Director General says apart from stimulating growth in their ICT industries, nation-states that have implemented the e-government procurement have also witnessed what he called exponential economic development. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The 2021 appropriation bill has once again provided the platform for Senate to review Nigeria's economic indices as the legislators re-echoed the need to reduce pressure on the oil sector. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the senators were also worried about revenue leakages and called for the introduction of a sophisticated system in checking the problem.
It's been 2 days of national debate on the floor of the Senate. The object of discussion is the 2021 budget of 13.08 trillion. Senators continued with the highlight of some pertinent issues that need consideration in the budget, such as introduction of a compact system that will check revenue leakages, improve non-oil sector, and encouragement of public-private partnership in funding capital projects.
We must have peace and indeed maintain the peace in the Niger Delta region before we can achieve this.
We will count on the usual support of Nigerian and stakeholders alike in the education sector in the country to contribute immensely in the actualization of the implementation of Budget 2021, and therefore it requires sufficient funding.
Of course, if we unlock the potentials of our solid mineral, it will be a great advantage in diversification of our economy.
We can allow iron and steel complex to function, Mr. President. About 20,000 people will be employed by iron and steel complex in Ajakuta.
Any loan that is not used for such development infrastructurally that will stimulate the economy, I think, Mr. President, that loan is misdirected.
The budget is seen as a realistic financial projection.
In the overall, while the physical plan of the government mirrors the need to reflect the economy following the most devastating effect of COVID-19 pandemic, we think the 2021 budget is very, very optimistic. But we need to do more to reduce wastages in our system in order to have money to execute our projects.
We as a National Assembly have to start looking into to see how we bring down this cost of running the government. Personnel cost at over 33% is really way too high. Implementing innovative financing strategies to pull in private sector investment. This is the only way to go.
Senators confirmed the nomination of Chukwuemeka Chukwu for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission, representing Abia State. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
In keeping true to its resolve of expeditious passage of the 2021 appropriation bill to sustain the January to December budget cycle, the House of Representatives has passed the bill for second reading after 2 days of extensive debate on the merits and demerits of the federal government's proposed expenditure for next year. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on activities in the Green Chamber during plenary.
The business of the day commenced with the reading of a presidential communication by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, seeking consideration and passage of the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Bill 2020 in furtherance of the anti-corruption drive. It seeks to address the problem of transparency, accountability, and lack of credible records in the management of recovered funds by anti-corruption agencies and other institutions in Nigeria. The continuation of debates on the 2021 budget proposal dominated most parts of plenary as House members centered debates on economic diversification, infrastructure development, security, social inclusion, and improved provisions on social safety nets.
Agriculture, not only in Nigeria but in Africa in general, accounts for about 70% of our employment and accounts for a substantial part of our gross domestic product.
It will also be a great achievement if we can put the defense budget on the first line chart.
I must commend Mr. President for the intervention policies, but it's also incumbent on us to monitor the intervention programs.
To critically look at this budget, raise questions, and whatever we put out there, we should be able to defend it.
The House called for quarterly release of budget performance by MDAs to the National Assembly for enhanced monitoring and evaluation.
It has to be even and equitable distribution of resources of the government.
The bill, after the second reading, was referred to House Committee on Appropriation. The second reading of the appropriation bill signals the next phase of legislative consideration of the budget documents, that is the appearance of ministries, departments and agencies of government before relevant committees for budget defense, a critical aspect of which is lobbying as MDAs seek allocation of additional funds to key areas. The Minister of Women Affairs blazed a trail as she had an engagement with the House Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development to solicit gender-sensitive budgeting.
It is only when budgets are examined from a deliberate gender perspective that such imbalances or sensitivity can be isolated and corrected. Gender-responsive budgeting also seeks to uplift the standard of living for the vulnerable members of our society.
Gender-responsive budgetary knowledge is part of the requisite skills we need as legislators and stakeholders in order for us to deliver good dividends to our people.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, foreign investments in Nigeria span diverse areas ranging from oil and gas, construction, infrastructure development and ICT, while investors leverage on Nigeria's large population and market potential to drive profit. Unfortunately, disputes arising from these investments are taken to foreign arbitration centers for resolutions when Abuja and Lagos are designated arbitration centers for the West African sub-region. Judiciary correspondent Vera Chumuba is asking why these disputes cannot be settled in Nigeria.
As a preferred investment destination, Nigeria generates a significant volume of commercial transactions, both commercial and international, in the areas of power, oil and gas, construction and ICT infrastructure. Nigeria, as a seat and place of arbitration, had ratified international conventions and protocols pertaining to international commercial arbitration. Not only that, Nigeria possesses a considerable number of arbitration institutions in Lagos and Abuja dedicated to the common goal of promoting arbitration in Nigeria. These are indications that Nigeria has competence and framework for a vibrant arbitration regime. Nigeria and arbitrators lose revenue running into millions of dollars as a result of national arbitration flights to other countries. To expectation, disputes arising from commercial transactions which touch on crucial economic and national interests are sadly taken to foreign arbitration centers for resolution.
The reason is that they have already signed an agreement, and when there is a breakdown of an agreement contained in what was signed, they will now take it to the jurisdiction.
The perception the parties will have about the legal instruments, infrastructures, and the neutrality and impartiality of the judicial system in that country.
Experts say Arbitration and Conciliation Act needs to be reviewed.
When they are drafting the contract, the parties should ensure that the seat of arbitration is Nigeria.
The National Assembly, the government, has to do something. They have to put in place a policy that will encourage arbitration in the country. Because when we take arbitration outside, tell you what, we're building the economy of that foreign jurisdiction to which we are taking arbitration to.
Nigeria is yet to benefit as a seat and venue of arbitration. Stakeholders are of the view that a policy intervention may be the way out of addressing the issue. In Abuja, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
You know, diamond is one of the most precious stones. 60 is the diamond number. To attain the age of 60, therefore, calls for special celebration. That is what Nigerians did on Nigeria's Diamond Jubilee celebration, and the celebration spanned the globe. Now, trust the vibrant online community not to be left out. It sure had a field day, putting on spectacular virtual displays. And Naja Atutijani will tell us all about it.
Nigeria and Nigerians have always marked the country's Independence Day in different ways, either fully or low-key. When Nigeria attained the diamond age recently, a lot was done by both the people and government. Pomp, parade and marching band, vibrant youth in colorful costumes and members of the diplomatic community all paid homage to the giant of Africa. While the celebrations went on at the Eagle Square in Abuja and state capitals, the online community also had a ball, just as world leaders, Nigerians in the diaspora, various nationals and organizations rejoiced with the country. Apart from messages from across the world, others went the extra mile to celebrate Nigeria at 60. In the United Arab Emirates, the Burj Khalifa was decked in Nigeria's national colors of green and white. Reports say it cost a whopping 25.9 million naira to put on that display. This video, which trended even before the Diamond Jubilee celebrations, shows a group of foreign nationals singing the Nigerian national anthem in solidarity with the nation. Back home in Nigeria, the online community made platforms, green and white platforms with colorful displays and costumes. Chairman Organizing Committee of the Nigeria at 60 celebrations at Eagle Square and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, echoed the sentiments of many Nigerians when he declared he couldn't be more proud to be a Nigerian at this time.
There is a lot to celebrate. It's giving you so much that it has created an entity called Nigeria in which you decide. Even for that, you carry a Nigerian passport. You are a citizen of Nigeria. I do not see any reason why you should not be grateful for your country.
This sentiment is shared by most Nigerians as demonstrated through words and actions, and whether online or offline, Nigerians are stronger together. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Sure, Nigerians are stronger forever. And in our local parlance, I would say Niger for life. Chairman Caretaker and Extraordinary National Convention Planning Committee of the All Progressives Congress, Governor Mai Mala Buni, has again appealed to party faithful to withdraw all litigations before the next National Executive Committee meeting. This formed part of issues highlighted during a meeting between the Caretaker Committee and APC State Chairman at the party's National Secretariat, Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi reports.
The 13-member Mai Mala Buni-led Caretaker Committee has a mandate to pilot the affairs of the APC for 6 months. Top on the agenda of the committee is to reconcile aggrieved members and organize a national convention within the period. Barely 4 months as caretaker chairman, Governor Mai Mala Buni solicits more support from the 36 state chairmen on current reform to update party membership registers at all levels.
The Caretaker Committee has embarked on massive conflict resolution in the party across the 36 states and FCT. The responsibility is for you as April State Chairman to commence the procedure for full sensitization and needed awareness for a successful membership registration exercise in the various states as we all wait for the final briefing from the caretaker management committee.
Chairman, Forum of APC State Chairman Ali Bukar Dalori led others to pass a vote of confidence on the Governor Mai Mala Buni-led caretaker committee. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Emir of Zazzau promises to do justice to all manner of persons in his domain, plus rising global concerns to mitigate disaster risks. Thanks for staying. The Emir of Zazzau, Alhaji Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, has reiterated his commitment to providing a focused and fair leadership that will do justice to all manner of people in his domain. The Emir stated this in Kaduna when he led Zazzau Emirate Council members and representatives of the three ruling houses on a thank you visit to Governor Nasiru Ahmed El-Rufai. Mohammed Umar Ajingi reports.
This is the first official engagement of the traditional ruler outside Zaria since he stepped on the throne as the 19th Emir of Zazzau. The Emir says that the high-powered delegation comprising of eminent sons from the ruling houses of Kasanawa, Bari and Mallawa to the government house speaks volume of their unity, brotherhood and commitment to working together for the new leadership to succeed.
The pride of every prince is to one day, become the king. It's not an offense, and I keep repeating, it's not an offense by any interested person to contest for the emirship position. But after the contest, then we'll have to close ranks, come together, and then serve the people.
Governor Nasiru Ahmed El-Rufai, while expressing satisfaction with their show of unity and the Emir's resolve to reach out to all stakeholders, pledged to sustain his support for Zazzau Emirate.
Unity is the key to progress. And my appeal to His Highness is to continue in this effort, bearing in mind that it is the right of every prince to want to be the emir. But God only chooses one out of many.
The 19th Emir of Zazzau from the Manlawa dynasty promised to work together with all the stakeholders. Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar-Ajingi, NTA News.
If you don't engage your child, you will never know the ideas she or he has locked up in the brain. That is why, as the world marked the International Day of the Girl Child last Sunday, the Minister of State FCT surrendered her seat to a girl to run her office. Let's share her priorities with you.
We want the future to be a better place for every child in Nigeria.
That was Shekina Suleiman pointing out her priorities as the FCT Minister of State. Speaking on the importance of the day, Shekina Suleiman says education will be her first port of call.
Organizing skills for them so that they can acquire few skills such as craft, information technology, and so on.
FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliu said in the Federal Capital Territory, the girl child is always encouraged to believe in themselves for the realization of their self-worth.
We'll continue to boost this and continue to preach this experience and embark on advocacy. And we have opened also centers where girls that feel they are being abused or suppressed, any kind of abuse, should report immediately.
The founder, Helpline Foundation for the Needy, Jumai Amadu, thanked the FCT Minister of State for her support.
The girl child is not subordinate to anybody. So you have the powers, you have the support, the political will to become whoever you want to become. And for the
theme of the 2020 International Day for the Girl Child is My Voice, Our Equal Future. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Izumba, NT News.
Coronavirus pandemic has left nations with different stories to tell. In all of this, the voice of the girl child and her experience in this pandemic remains an issue before experts. A compendium and initiative of a non-governmental organization, Helpline Foundation, seeks to give the girl child the necessary voice in these times. Oluseya Diabo was at one of such initiatives.
Farida Fentola Jibala's story is a contrast to her smiles on her profile picture. What trials behind this facade is one who groans under the circumstance of a broken home. And 13-year-old Suleiman Sakinat, who just completed a junior secondary school examination, narrates how the pandemic affected her academics, and she says having a platform to express her experience comes with a great joy.
I'm happy to be given such an opportunity to write down what I've gone through during this time.
Farida and Rukayat's voices are among the 30 voices in the compendium, which is laden with emotion but hopeful for a better days ahead. The 66-page book chronicles experiences in a free-flow language with a similitude of a child, narrowing down to contextual realities.
I'm going to reach out to other girls, to reach out to other children that don't have a voice, so that they can have a voice.
The girl child bears the brunt. It is thus highly commendable that the experiences are documented for reference purposes and to guide their thoughts and opinions.
In all, the voices show a stark awareness of the COVID-19 and what measures to take to stay safe.
Dr. Jume Amojun explains the rationale behind the compendium, My COVID-19 Story, Voice of Hope and Resilience.
So we're not just going to allow this book to end as physical book. It's going to be online for people to get it even way after we are not here again. People should be able to refer to COVID-19 and see what young girls also went through. It's not about adults, it's about girls too.
Expectation of participants is to see the book used in Nigeria's education curricula as it goes beyond just the experience of COVID-19, but advancing the cause of the girl child towards meeting her full potentials in life. In Abuja, Olusheye Atiagbo, NTA News.
In the meantime, hope of parents for people to return to school in the Federal Capital Territory after a 7-month COVID-19-induced shutdown were on Monday dashed, following the decision of teachers to continue with their industrial action. Hadiza Godwin Ebony has the report.
The COVID-19 closure of schools in Nigeria has come to an end, as schools at the primary and secondary levels all resumed for academics on the 12th of October 2020. However, reverse is the case for FCT Local Education Authority schools, who were told to go home upon resumption of schools due to the strike action embarked upon by teachers under the aegis of the FCT Nigerian Union of Teachers. The strike, they say, is as a result of non-implementation and payment of the national minimum wage by the FCT Area Council chairman.
This strike has come to stay. It is an indefinite strike. Until this money is paid, no single teacher in public schools in FCT will be found in a classroom.
A visit to some LEA primary schools in the territory reveals that academic activities has been stalled. Meanwhile, the decision by the Nigerian Union of Teachers has generated reactions from parents who are concerned about the academic well-being of their children, with the National Common Entrance around the corner.
We went to their school on Monday, so they said I should go back to us first. So what you can do now, because we know upon all the time they are already spent at house, so we don't expect maybe this country can't happen again.
But I'm primary 6. I feel bad.
Why?
Because that long we went to school.
It is hoped that the industrial action will be suspended and the teachers' needs will be granted, as the pupils have missed a lot academically since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. Hadiza Godwin Ebuni, NTA News.
People always admire beauty and brain, but when compassion is added to the two, you get a grounded person like the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, who is a round peg in a round hole in the ministry. The latest to experience her compassion are communities displaced by flood in Kogi State. They are to be supported with relief items to ameliorate their sufferings. The Minister, Sadia Umar Farouk, made this known during a solidarity visit to the Kogi State Governor, Yahaya Bello. Francis Udojo will tell us about it.
With the rains still threatening, the devastating effect of flooding in the riverine areas in Kogi State is to receive the attention of the federal government. And to show its determination to ameliorate the pains of flood victims, the high-powered delegation led by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadia Umar Farouk, the FCT Minister of State, Ramatu Sani, DG NEMA, Air Vice Marshal Muhammadu Mohammed, as well as other officials of government who are in the state, with a promise to ensure that communities affected by floods are given urgent and adequate attention.
President Muhammad Buhari is concerned about the flood and has directed the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to activate the National Emergency Management Agency to respond promptly and in providing necessary support to the affected states and the persons.
Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello highlighted the efforts of the administration over the years to open up other areas for resettlement. He regretted the havoc caused by the high level of floods, particularly this time every year.
Everyone knows that rivers Niger and Benue meet here in Kogi State. Usually there's devastation. This is where we receive all the hits. Whatever relief material that is given to every other state of this country, Kogi State alone needs double of that put together.
The distribution of relief items to the flood-prone communities will be carried out, ensuring that all areas are effectively covered.
Disaster management across the globe has been in the reactive over the years, as those in the management of the disaster only wait until it occurs to deploy any kind of mechanism to provide relief to victims. This scenario is, however, identified as the reason for the destruction of lives and property, running into billions of dollars. Worried by this development, the United Nations General Assembly in 1989 launched disaster risk reduction to promote a global culture of risk awareness and disaster reduction. Correspondent Ilyasu Ali Yakubu examines the journey so far.
Since the United Nations General Assembly designated 13th October every year as International Disaster Risk Reduction Day, key players have been using the day to celebrate how people and communities around the world are reducing their exposure to disaster and raising awareness. In Nigeria, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is adopting the United Nations idea, especially in the 2020 disaster management. This effort has no doubt reduced the usual outcry from victims who are hitherto unaware of the risks involved in the devastation.
We cannot therefore continue to manage disasters by waiting to respond to them. We must evolve strategies for prevention, preparedness, mitigation, and response. Efforts to reduce disaster risk must be systematically integrated into policies, plans, and programs for sustainable development and poverty reduction through cooperation and partnerships at all levels.
Delivering effective and efficient service calls for serious commitment on our part. As disaster managers, we must grow out of self-pity to fashion out measures for intervention and initiate disaster risk reduction strategies suitable to our respective communities.
The 2020 International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction has as a theme disaster risk governance that will take charge of the management of disaster holistically to provide a better life for the citizenry. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
As a nation, Nigeria's gifts and endowment are believed to be sufficient to advance the life and living patterns of Nigerians in ways suggestive of social security and economic development. Kolo Mohammed reports that an NGO, Project 20 Million, visited NTA, expecting a robust partnership towards this direction.
Nigeria's current administration's zero tolerance for corruption is the premise upon which the Project 20 Million group predicated its move to realign public service to the overall advantage of Nigerians.
We understand the great role the religious institutions and our traditional institutions play in Nigeria, in the hearts of our Nigerians. And so we want to bring these people, considering their followership, let's make them part of Project 20 Million so that from there we can begin to advocate for good governance. We build and inculcate good governance in the lives of Nigerians.
NDA's management, represented by Director of Programs Bashir Sandayar Adua, reiterated its commitment at supporting objectives to better Nigeria and the League of Nations.
On behalf of the DG, management and staff of NTA, I would also like to commend you for taking it upon yourself to be part of this present administration's policy of fighting corruption and ensuring good governance. I would also like to say you've done the right choice by choosing NTA to be your partners in this direction.
The group named and decorated the NTA as its ambassador. In Abuja, Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
Traffic congestion at the First Niger Bridge. Still progress report from the construction site.
This chaotic situation is an everyday occurrence at the existing Niger Bridge. Built in 1965, the bridge has remained the crucial east-west link over the years. And due to the enhanced economic activities on this transport corridor, the people are finding it increasingly difficult to go about their normal activities. Businessmen and road users who lament the situation say completion of the second Niger Bridge will bring some respite.
I'm coming from Ondo State. When I come, I spend no less than 2 hours and here before I can cross this bridge. Even if federal government can be seeing all these things, they should help the travelers at least to speed up the second Niger Bridge.
Fortunately, completion of permanent works on the bridge has reached about 50%. Despite the coronavirus pandemic that ravaged almost all sectors of the economy, work on the second Niger Bridge is still on schedule. Here at the east approach of the Onitsha end of the bridge, the iron fitters can be seen working eagerly, fixing enforcements for the bridge deck. The two secondary bridges at Amakom in Delta and Atane in Anambra have been completed, while the north side of the two carriageways from Asaba to Atane will be completed before the end of November. At the Obosi-Owerri interchange, the flyovers and slip roads are already becoming visible. When completed, the interchange will boast of 4 loops and 8 lanes. The project, which is 11.9 kilometers in length, will be completed in February 2022. In Onitsha, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
And the role of the media is to, among other things, furnish the public with genuine information. The Nigerian Television Authority is not only disseminating facts and genuine information, but also carrying out fact checks on issues and claims by government officials, communities and organizations. It is in the light of this that Musa Baba Aliu fact-checked claims by motorists and the Niger State government on the deplorable conditions of highways in the state. Musa Baba Aliu's findings from Bidda will interest you.
Recently, there have been concern about the dilapidated condition of Mina Bidda Road occasioned by articulated vehicles plying the road on a daily basis. Now, for instance, from where I'm standing here in Bidda to Mina, the Niger State capital, is 88.9 kilometers. But drivers and commuters complain that because of the condition of the road, it takes them more than 3 hours to reach Mina.
The crew members and I drove on the road to Mina. The takeoff was initially smooth, with the absence of trucks, though with potholes that can be managed by our driver. Few minutes into our journey, we got to this spot overtaking queues of trucks. As we got closer, we realized that this ditch caused the gridlock. 3 articulated vehicles were trapped in the ditch, blocking all available passage for big and small vehicles. The bush path created for smaller vehicles were, however, blocked by oncoming trucks. However, After a long deliberation and consultation, they came up with this idea. As we drove on the rough, dusty road for another 1 hour, we came across another obstacle. It was a wide pothole full of muddy water in the middle of the road. All the drivers were afraid of driving through the muddy water without a guide. We came out from our vehicle to allow our driver and other behind us to look for alternative road. As they maneuver through the bush path, some of them got trapped due to the marshy ground. And here, the villagers alongside the truck drivers were looking for alternative and solution to get out of the muddy water. I'm not a driver. I'm only helping them to clear the road. But the behavior of the truck drivers is something else, he laments. After about 2 hours of waiting, our driver got out of the bush path as we managed through the few remaining kilometers to Mina. We got to Mina after 5 hours on the road. The situation of 100 kilometers Mina-Suleja road is a story for another day. From Mina, Niger State capital, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the FCT administration has reassured of the completion of all ongoing road projects, particularly the Dutse Alhaji Road, which causes serious gridlock. Chairman FCT Ministerial Tax Team on Decongestion of Traffic, who led a monitoring team to the site, says the road will be completed soon as the contractor has been remobilized back to site. Abdullah Hajia reports.
The daily experience of motorists on the Dutse Alhaji Buari Road as a result of the uncompleted section of the dual carriage road is better imagined for some months now. With the rains receding, the administration has remobilized the contractor back to site.
Dutse Alhaji have been one heavy flashpoint, as well as Yanya, Apo, and several other districts here. And this particular road was one road that really gained special attention from the FCT minister as from late last year. This particular road walk, the first phase leading down to Sokale, if I'm right now, will be completed in the next 2 months. So those who are in Dutse Alhaji here and those in this area can drive freely from here to Sokale in the next 2 months.
Determined to achieve results on the same goal, stakeholders who are now on the same page pledged to work together to deliver the project in 2 months' time, thereby assuring of a quality job.
We are on ground to ensure that a good quality work is assured and is done. We are going to work from morning till 7 within now and the next 2 months.
We have a lot of challenges, especially from the uniform personnel who follow one way.
All we need to do is to come early, man the road and monitor the traffic, and that we have been doing.
Road traffic managers who decried the impatience and attitude of some motorists, however, appealed for understanding as some portions of the road will be closed to traffic so as to allow for the speedy completion of the work. Abdullah Hajia, NTA News.
Thank you, Abdullahi. There is a saying, water is life. This saying is surely prompted by the importance of water to daily lives of humans and animals alike. Reactions of people whenever they have access to water, especially potable water, gives credence to the adage. The reaction of residents of Jalingo to the new water project embarked on by the state government says it all. Joseph Austin has that story.
Accessibility to quality water is a vital component of Nigeria's water sanitation and hygiene WASH project. Taraba State, which has keyed into the program, is working assiduously to develop its water supply system. The state government has embarked on the construction of another primary water supply source, estimated to cost over 8 billion naira. The groundbreaking of the construction of a 5 million liters of water reservoir at Mount Jalingo is just one of the phases of the project.
We are gathered here to mark another milestone to reform and reposition the water and sanitation sector towards improving access to water and sanitation services.
We must keep Jalingo clean. And to keep Jalingo clean, we must maintain the water system that costs billions and billions of naira.
Residents are becoming more excited and optimistic that, with time, they will never go through difficulties to access potable water again.
Taraba in Jalingo, water board are trying. I can give them 95%. Recently, I'm just passing, I saw a executive governor commissioning another one.
It will really help. It will really help. It will help the masses because honestly, water is life. The aspect of water, he's really trying. We are grateful to that.
Assessing quality water, especially at the suburbs of Jalingo, the Taraba state capital, has always been a challenge. This explains why many look up to the execution of this water project with high expectations. In Jalingo, Joseph Sound Otsen, NTA News.
The successful eradication of the wild polio virus and other child killer diseases are some of the major breakthroughs recorded in the country, with global recognition to the federal government's effort to bridge the wide gap in service delivery across primary healthcare centers nationwide. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that key players in the health sector on NTA's Current Affairs program Tuesday Live lauded the initiative of modified integrated medical outreach in driving the vehicle for improved services at the grassroots.
Nigeria's health space at basic level has remained a critical vehicle for sustaining maternal and infant health services, with priority on routine immunization, vaccine, and cost-effective treatment against maternal and child mortality. Improved method for vaccine preservation, training of professional health workers, and engagement of stakeholders in suppressing impact of primary health care related issues have scaled up community response to child killer diseases and save maternal health system.
With the COVID lockdown relaxed and the efforts from the agency, the ministry under the leadership of the minister and our partners, they are now set commencing the modified integrated medical outreach program.
Other things have been found, but not the wild polio virus has been found. So that gives us some level of, gives us that confidence that we have indeed eradicated wild polio virus from Nigeria.
Stakeholders underscored huge investment of government at all levels in improving services across primary healthcare facilities in the country and intervention of international donors through medical consumables and vaccines, and express optimism for more success stories.
Our connection has been basically to support NPSCDA to develop the strategy on how to roll out this integrated program, outreach program.
As conversation on roadmap of completely addressing decay in primary health care system and eradicating child killer diseases continues to gather momentum, key players in the sector are confident that sustaining positive approach to promoting basic health care will guarantee a future for healthy and quality population. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
The world is still united against defeating a common enemy, COVID-19. As the journey towards achieving a coronavirus-free world continues, even the religious bodies are contributing their quota to winning the war. Hingino John Adams has the report.
The coronavirus pandemic has really hit the world hard. What was assumed to be a temporary challenge is gradually becoming a permanent phenomenon, impacting negatively on economies across board. In the past few months, income dwindled due to job losses and low patronage caused by closure of practically all sectors. With strong political will and resilience from the Nigerian government and key players in the health as well as other sectors in containing the virus, the economy is gradually picking up. This is a strong indication that health is connected with wealth. The Foursquare Gospel Church in Nigeria is not ignorant of this fact. That is why it organized this public lecture to sensitize people on the importance of taking care of their health in the face of the global challenge, COVID-19.
That's actually our objective, to ensure that there is an awareness created for each of the parties, including the church, for each one to be able to identify their role.
The church is sensitive to what is happening, and we have to focus on the issue of health and wealth.
The consensus at this meeting is that improvement in the nation's health sector will go a long way in boosting the economy of the country.
The state of health of a society reflects the progress of that society. We owe the next generation this much: to take responsibility for our future and find every little means to prepare and develop better health and response initiatives and models.
If you do not have a sound primary healthcare platform, then your secondary and your tertiary system get choked with patients, and which is not what is supposed to happen.
As the church holds the conference till 2021, the expectation is that Nigerians will strictly adhere to COVID-19 protocols to totally defeat the virus. In Lagos, Hengino John Adams, NTA News.
And from Lagos, we'll take you to Kano, where it is said that as part of efforts to stimulate interest of younger generation and avail them of various job opportunities that are abound in the hospitality industry, National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism is training over 100 teachers drawn from selected secondary schools in Kano. The Train the Trainer course is expected to equip tourism teachers with necessary skills and knowledge to impact same on students taking the subject. Fatima reports.
Tourism has been recognized as a major engine for job creation and a driving force for economic growth and development. Data by the World Travel and Tourism Council indicates that in 2018 alone, direct employment in tourism rose to 2.4%, projecting that by the year 2028, more than 414 million jobs will be created.
As you are aware, the federal government has embarked on a campaign for lessening the burden on the dependence on oil. So it has formed an economic team which actually identified tourism as one of the avenues that could replace oil.
The participants who were exposed to basics in the tourism studies, its statistics and overall benefits showed their enthusiasm this way.
The course is very interesting, because as before we are just teaching people about hospitality. We don't even know what hospitality is all about. But now we have been taught of what hospitality is all about, and we know how to train our people.
I find it very interesting. I will go and teach my students in my school.
National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism.
Good to know you're still with us on NewsExtra. Report of the Southern Kaduna Peace Summit coordinated by the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Christian Pilgrims Commission, Reverend Yakubu Pam, has been submitted to the state government. Mohammed Umar Ajingi reports.
Handing over of the report containing views, suggestions and agreement reached by the various groups in southern Kaduna at the different peace fora held recently in the axis. A peace ambassador and executive secretary Nigeria Christian Pilgrim Commission Reverend Yakubu Pam appeals to all the parties to honor their agreements for peace to reign.
It is our opinion and advice that the recommendation herein be articulated and acted upon expeditiously, Your Excellency, as this will help in dosing the outrage outbursts of your people.
Governor Nasru Ahmad El-Rufai appreciates the commitment of the members for investing their time and energy to restore peace to southern Kaduna.
In the Holy Bible, I think in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, it is said that blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. By the grace of God, all of you will be called the children of God when we face Him in the day of judgment.
The governor asked the elders of the area to continue to reach out to the people particularly the use to sustain the prevailing pace. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
And now to security. The Directorate of Defense Media Operations says the air component of Operation Hadarindaji has destroyed another armed bandit camp and neutralized some of their fighters at a location near Ongwer Ali Gere in Katsina State. DMO Coordinator Major General John Enenche explains in a statement that this was achieved through airstrikes executed on 13th October 2020 following credible human intelligence reports and confirmatory surveillance missions. Intelligence indicated that dozens of armed bandits had established a camp at the location, and the air component dispatched Nigerian Air Force fighter jets and helicopter gunships, which engaged the location in successive passes, destroying portions of the camp and neutralizing some of the bandits. Meanwhile, the armed forces of Nigeria says it will sustain the offensive against all enemies of the nation. In another development, the Buhari Media Organization, BMO, says the ongoing protest in some parts of the country against the Special Armed Robbery Squad, SARS, is no longer necessary, as President Muhammadu Buhari has acceded to the protesters' demand for the dissolution of that police unit. In a statement, the Buhari Media Organization says the police have also followed up by ordering all SARS operatives to submit themselves for medical and psychological evaluation at the force headquarters in Abuja. The BMO also says the Presidential Panel on Police Reforms has granted protesters' demands, including the investigation of human rights violation by SARS operatives, while the National Human Rights Commission has been given 1 week to set up an independent panel to call for memoranda from members of the public whose rights may have been violated by the defunct SARS and other segments of the police. The group insisted that President Buhari is serious about his plans to put in place a police force that all Nigerians would be proud of. There is strength in unity. If you agree with that, then you must also agree with this assertion that piracy, armed robbery, crude oil theft, and other forms of criminal activities on the sea can best be tackled if security agencies could join forces together. And this perhaps necessitated the Nigeria Police Force, Akwa Ibom State Command, to organize a lecture suing for collaboration with the Naval Warfare Course 4 of the Naval War College, Nigeria. Utibe Achibong reports.
Delivering the lecture on post-COVID-19 collaboration towards tackling piracy and armed robbery at the sea, the Commissioner of Police, Akwa Ibom State Command, Amiengeme Andrews, said those security agencies in the country have over the years made concerted efforts in tackling crimes. Criminal activities, especially on the waterways, have continued to be on the increase. Hence, the need for the Marine Police and the Nigerian Navy to collaborate for optimum security services.
To create more avenues for intergroup social contacts, such as in sporting, athletic activities, as this will foster the spirit of esprit de corps and oneness of the two agencies.
CP Andrew further listed areas that require collaborative effort to include, among other things, fights against militancy, bunkering and illegal refineries. He stressed that there are challenges that should be surmounted. The Deputy Commandant, Naval War College Calabar, Navy Commodore James Okosun, expressed that the Nigerian Navy is ready to partner any security agency to fight crime to a halt.
In our War College, we have certain modules that is particularly about 2 months that is for interagency collaboration, where we go take our participants through how to collaborate with other agencies, not only the police, the DSS, the customs, immigrations, and all other federal government agencies.
If the synergy between security agencies is sustained, the Akwa Ibom State Police Command is optimistic that more feet will be recorded in the fight against crime. In Uyo, Utibe Achibong, NTA News.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has presented a witness in the case against a cosmetic surgeon, Dr. Oluwapo Adepoju and her company, Medculture Service Limited, over alleged failed surgery. Awal Yusuf Jibo reports that the prosecution witness told the court during cross-examination that the commission has communicated with the Nigerian Medical Association on the complaints against the defendants' misconduct and failure to deliver her required services to her customers.
So Anu Oluwapo Adepoju is charged alongside her clinic, Medculture Services Limited, on a 5-count bordering on refusal to honor an invitation for investigation as well as production of investigation document on April 15, 2020, which she pleaded not guilty to. At the resumed hearing before Justice Muhammad Liman, the prosecution witness Susie Onwuka of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, during cross-examination by the Defense Counsel, Maria Jones, told the court that the defendant services consumers complained that her surgery fell short of what she had guaranteed after they patronized her. On whether it is the duty of the FCCPC to investigate medical issues without recourse to the appropriate medical body, she replied that the FCCPC is mandated by law to always respond to complaints from consumers of goods and services and investigate such complaints. Mrs. Onwuka also reiterated that the commission invited the defendant to report to it for investigation on the alleged complaints on several occasions, but the defendant declined. While the commission FCCPC later saw on the social media page where the defendant posted that the commission has no power to investigate her. Justice Muhammad Liman then adjourned the case to December 2nd for continuation of trial. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
World Bank approves $12 billion for developing countries to secure COVID-19 vaccine, just as transmission figures continue to rise across Europe. Joyce Omitu has a global update on COVID-19.
The World Bank has approved $12 billion as funds for 118 developing countries to purchase and distribute coronavirus vaccines, tests and treatments. A statement from the bank says the funds, which is part of a larger $160 billion package, is aimed at supporting vaccination of up to 1 billion people. And as European governments fight to keep a second wave of COVID-19 infections under control, cases are still rising, even in countries that have had greater success than others in keeping transmission rates down. Germany recorded more than 5,000 new coronavirus infections in one day for the first time since April, and Russia witnessed an increase of 14,321 new cases and 239 new deaths in 24 hours. And in Northern Ireland, schools will close for 2 weeks and hospitality businesses will face tighter restrictions. It comes as Poland reported a record daily rise in cases, with doctors warning that the health system is becoming overwhelmed. Away from Europe, Israel has extended its second lockdown until midnight on Sunday, delaying the decision to reopen the country as infection rates remain high. In the meantime, Johns Hopkins University coronavirus tracker as at 6 p.m. revealed that there have been 38,477,818 COVID-19 cases worldwide, with 1,092,543 deaths. Confirmed cases on the African continent have risen to 1,604,566, with 38,681 fatalities. Now, recent data shows that Nigeria has witnessed 60,655 cases. Out of those infected, 52,006 have recovered, while 1,116 died. Lagos State, Nigeria's coronavirus epicenter, has now recorded more than 20,000 cases of the virus. And that's a global update on COVID-19. I am Joyce Ometu.
To ensure strict compliance with COVID-19 safe safety protocols among students in Katsina, wife of the state governor, Hadiza Aminu Masari, has undertaken an assessment visit to primary and secondary schools. Abdul Malik Hassan reports that the visit also recorded the state first lady the opportunity to assess academic activities after months of schools closure.
To the reopening of schools in Katsina, wife of the state governor donated over 1 million face masks to be distributed to pupils and students, as well as teaching and non-teaching staff, to ensure compliance with COVID-19 safety protocols. To ensure that the donation is judiciously utilized, the wife of the governor, Hadiza Aminu Masari, undertook an assessment visit to selected schools within Katsina metropolis. She commended the State Ministry of Education for putting in place all the necessary safety measures to guard the students from coronavirus pandemic.
So I appreciate seeing you. I hope you keep on like this. Go ahead to what you are doing. Don't say I have gone, then you throw away your Christmas.
Principals of the schools visited expressed appreciation over the concern exhibited by the wife of the governor, saying such gesture will go a long way in promoting transparency and giving students and their teachers sense of belonging. At all the schools visited, adequate COVID-19 safety measures were put in place to guard against community transmission of the pandemic. In Katsina, Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
Africa has an opportunity to reimagine a post-COVID-19 era and derive new ways of addressing the challenges of peace and security, socio-economic underdevelopment and poverty on the continent. This resolution came up at the opening ceremony of the 37th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council of the African Union. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday reports.
The Council's meeting for the first time in about 3 decades is holding virtually due to coronavirus pandemic.
We must never be found in the position in which...
Chairperson of the Executive Council, Dr. Naledi Pandor of South Africa, said the impact of the pandemic on lives and livelihoods of the African citizenry is a matter of great concern on the continent, especially as the world contends with the new normal and continues to navigate through the destruction caused by the pandemic.
Despite the awful impact of this virus on our continent, our ability to work together and develop an African response has revealed an amazing African resilience in unity that we should use for addressing all the challenges of our continent. And we should seize the opportunity to strengthen our systems and our public institutions to ensure we build the ability to withstand such emergencies in future.
For the chairperson of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mahamat, the health crisis exposed the weaknesses and amplified the fragilities of the continent, particularly exposing the inability of industries to produce goods and services crucial to saving lives, such as medicine, test kits, masks, and other essentials. The 2-day ministerial meeting will also deliberate on progress and intensification of actions aimed at peace, security, development, and integration as articulated in Africa's Agenda 2063. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
And back home, if development is said to follow the road, there are reasons to believe the commitment of government on the development of road infrastructure project to promote economic linkages and reduce travel stress by commuters in parts of the country. The vision of the new curfew to Makudi Road project is being actualized, as Hamza Musa Makarfi brings us an update.
The cumulative progress achieved to date shows that preparing work, earthwork and drainage facilities recorded between 69 and 98%, while pavement, bridge and tunnel construction attained between 9 and 32%. The project under Belt a Road initiative of the Chinese government is funded with contribution of 85% and Nigeria's 15%. As citizens commend government for the project, contracting firm admits work cannot be carried out as planned due to reduced number of workers on site arising from COVID-19 pandemic. But there are other issues of infrastructure on the right of way.
The relocation of power cables and also communication cables. Likewise, the existing structures right at the center of the road corridor. What you have behind me is parapet.
The challenges notwithstanding,